he violated.
The sprawling storm that dampened most of the east this week making an exit.
That's right, but it's still impacting some of you in the Northeast. Good evening and welcome to this edition of Weatherscope. I'm Jeff Morrow.
And I'm Warren Madden. Rain becoming a daily word in areas of the west. Today, no exception. Another vigorous storm slamming the coast. Let's start tonight, though, with the system that's dominated the weather this week, the storm in the east. Heavy rain forced the Maidford River in Middletown, Rhode Island to rise above its banks, flooding roads and yards. Some roads have been closed. Now, this van, don't do this. Don't drive through flooded roads. You don't know how deep that water is, and a lot of people lose their lives when water floats their cars off into deeper water and then goes down with them inside of it. So don't do that. Okay, let's look at what's happening right now. What we're looking at, two low pressure systems. This is the original low that worked its way northward here on the west side of the Appalachians. It's kind of losing its steam right now. It's being taken over by this low that's sitting off the Cape. And notice how tightly packed our lines of equal pressure are, the isobars. Anytime you see that, think wind. And the winds are going to be blustery along the Maine and New Hampshire coasts during the overnight. So from Eastport, Maine down to the Merrimack River, we do have a storm warning up. The National Weather Service having issued it, meaning that we could see wind gusts up over 55 miles an hour. So batten down the hatches. Make sure that your windows are protected as we watch for some strong winds along the coast. Right now, though, winds just gusting up between, say, 25 and 30 miles an hour. And that wind is also bringing in some fairly mild air. Bangor now 36 degrees. So the rain we're seeing, or the precipitation we're seeing, is mostly in the form of rain along the coast. Portland, though, picking up a little bit of light snow right now. Still a little light drizzle around Boston, but as you can see, things starting to calm down across much of southern New England. And then you come back a little farther west. Let's recenter the radar a little bit. Bang, here we go. You can see that Pennsylvania's seeing some light rain right now. But again, even all the way up in toward Elmira, Binghamton, heading on up toward Rochester, it's falling in the form of rain. There isn't enough cold air available to cause it to be falling as snow. You have to go all the way out to northern plains before you start seeing the air cold enough for the snow. Fargo 33 right now, a little bit of light rain. Bismarck checking in at 34. You're seeing a little bit of light snow. You can see that little string of snow wrapping around. Rapid City seeing a little bit of rain. And speaking of rain, as we head farther to the south, you can see some of that rain also falling into the Des Moines area. It's a fairly narrow band, though, reaching from southeastern or southwestern Minnesota down on through Des Moines and then coming down toward Quincy, Illinois. Farther to the south, well, we have some nasty weather. You can just see the edge of the rain band here. Let's bring up the national map. This low is causing some problems, some severe weather in Texas, and we're also watching what's happening with our next storm coming into the Pacific Northwest. For the details on both of these systems, let's turn it over to Jeff Morrow.
All right, thanks, Warren. El Nino influenced storms aren't quite ready to let up in the west. Another one has slammed into the Pacific Northwest, and that rain will start to move down along the coast tonight. And we're seeing a bout of severe weather in Texas. We'll get to that in a moment. Wanted to show you the satellite radar composite here, and have to apologize once again. They turn off one of the satellites late as we head into the evening, so we kind of get the big black hole here. But you can see the latest band of showers and thunderstorms. Now, the main low appears to be moving up toward British Columbia, but we think a wave of low pressure is developing here along our cold front and going to be moving inland. That's why we're getting enhanced rain here in northern California, or we will be as we head through the overnight hours. And a quick look over here to the east. Boy, you can really see the spin in the atmosphere here with our next system. Rain moving in, lots of wind too. Let's show you what it looked like along the Oregon coast today. This is Gerhardt, Oregon. I believe this is in Tillamook County, and surf could get as high as 10 to 18 feet. Winds along the headlands are gusting as high as 70 to 80 miles an hour, at least at Cape Blanco, and of course with a lot of rain as well. There could be some trees and some power lines come down, of course, in that kind of wind-driven rain. So a nasty night along the Washington, Oregon, and Northern California coast. For sure, no doubt about it. If you're looking for snow, generally 4,000 feet and higher in elevation, and that is right at pass level. You may find some snow, so be careful going over some of the passes, including Stevens and Snoqualmie there in Washington. There's the heavy surf advisory, Clatsop Spit, all the way down to the U.S.-Mexican border. And there's your precipitation moving from Seattle down the 5 through Portland, down the Willamette Valley, and a pretty good slug of rain moving toward the Eureka area right now. Light rain, if any, right now around San Francisco. It will pick up overnight. And a quick look at our severe weather threat in Texas. I got to tell you, folks, it looks pretty nasty here, particularly this cell in Goliad County, and I believe we can get in here even a little bit closer. Right there, there's a tornado warning out here for about the next 10 minutes, and over here in Atascosa County, south of San Antonio, flash flood warnings in effect for the big slow-moving storms there. We'll keep you updated. Let's get the latest on El Nino now with Warren.
Thanks, Jeff. NASA has released some new data concerning El Nino and its effects on rainfall throughout the world. Rich Johnson gives us all the details in tonight's El Nino Focus.
If you ever wanted to see what El Nino looks like, this is as close as you can get. These are the latest sea surface temperature readings from NASA, and you can certainly see, in red, the warm waters that make up El Nino. Recently, areas from California to Florida have experienced heavy rainfall. And as Antonio Busolacci of NASA explains, scientists are continuing...
County community is rocked with allegations of child porn in the principal's office. Good evening. I'm Steve Highsmith. Parents and students at Burlington County's Delran Intermediate School were surprised by last week's sudden resignation of their principal, who lives in Bucks County. Tonight, the community is shocked by why it happened. Our Byron Scott is standing by live in Bensalem with the latest. Byron?
Steve, Davidson was released last night pending court action. He is not home right now here at his Bensalem home. Now, we're told that he turned himself into authorities last night in a case that has shocked neighbors and parents.
He's into child pornography or whatever it is. Why would you have that in school? Why would you even have it in your school, in your desk? It's your setup. Somebody put it there and was trying to make him look bad or whatever. I don't.
Bob Altamar says he's known 37-year-old Steven Davidson for years, that he's even let his sons go fishing with him on overnight trips, and that he trusts Davidson 100%.
Call the superintendent.
Davidson's colleagues at Delran Intermediate School, where he was principal, refused comment. Davidson, who's been employed by the district for 2 years, was arrested last night and charged with possession of child pornography.
That was reported to the school authorities. They confronted Mr. Davidson and he resigned. At that point, a police investigation commenced, resulting in the service of the summons last night.
Investigators say a co-worker discovered in Davidson's office a dozen pornographic photos and drawings of children engaged in sexual acts.
We feel very confident that the young people portrayed in the photographs have nothing to do with the student body at Delran Intermediate School.
Davidson allegedly downloaded the materials from the internet at a computer inside the school.
No, it doesn't concern me. I'm sure they'll take care of it. They'll figure out the problems.
Anytime you have something like that with around children, yeah, it does bother you.
Well, the case now goes before the grand jury. It will decide whether to indict Davidson. If he's found guilty, he could face 18 months behind bars. Now, the attorney says it doesn't involve child pornography at all, but simply what he calls cartoon-type pictures or sketches. Now, the school district will meet tomorrow night, the school board, to discuss Davidson's resignation. Live in Ben Salem, I'm Byron Scott. Steve.
Thank you, Byron. In Montgomery County, sex charges are dropped against a girls' track coach. A 15-year-old Lower Merion High School student told police last year that coach Anthony Graves sexually assaulted her on a bus ride home from a track meet. Now, for reasons not revealed, the alleged victim's family is dropping charges in a deal that requires Graves to pay just court costs. Accused killer Sam Manzi will be arraigned in Ocean County tomorrow in adult court. A judge has now ruled that the 15-year-old should be tried as an adult on charges that he raped and strangled 11-year-old Eddie Werner. Werner was killed last fall while selling candy in Jackson Township. Prosecutors today said Manzi then took a Polaroid photo of Werner with an electrical cord still wrapped around the victim's neck. A psychologist says that's not surprising.
The photograph can provide a very easy trigger or reminder. So if it's sexual, it's something that can create sexual arousal in and of itself, used later on.
Authorities say Sam Manzi had been sexually assaulted by a man he met online in a chat room. In Delaware County, prosecutors will seek the death penalty for accused killer Arthur Bomar. They allege Bomar raped and kidnapped Amy Willard before killing her and say that and Bomar's criminal history, which includes a Nevada murder conviction, make it a strong capital murder case.
In this case, the aggravating circumstances were there. It was a particularly heinous murder, and justice would be to pursue the death penalty, and we intend to do it.
No, sir.
Bomar will be formally arraigned on the murder charge on Friday. Tonight, we get our first look at the man police say tried to snatch a child at a Bucks County supermarket. Surveillance photos show the suspect inside Redner's Market in Richland Township on Monday. The child's mother was loading groceries into her car when the attacker tried to take the child. He failed because the child was buckled into the shopping cart. The shopping for a new top cop is through in Philadelphia. Mayor Ed Rendell says he's chosen a big-time Big Apple cop to replace Richard Neal. Jim Sigovitz has the reaction.
Mayor Rendell walked his new choice for police commissioner into a news conference this morning. 49-year-old John Timoney will take over the 6,000-member Philadelphia Police Department beginning next month. After a 29-year career with the New York City Police Department, where he rose from a beat cop to second in command.
I think John Timoney is a policeman's policeman, a cop's cop in every sense of the word.
Kind of a hands-on individual.
Timoney played a key role in New York City's crime-fighting success and looks forward to doing the same here with or without the cooperation of half a dozen deputies.